Anti-government protesters were out on Sunday, bringing together members of several of Macedonia's ethnic groups in a call for the prime minister to resign. The opposition accuses the government of electoral fraud, repressing journalists, and other abuses, including covering up a murder. The next day, Prime Minister Nikola Gruevski spoke at a similar-sized pro-government rally. Supporters said last year's election results should be respected and the Prime Minister should continue his 9-year rule. But some experts say although Mr. Gruevski was elected and re-elected, he has become increasingly autocratic, partly enabled by the European Union's imposition of an extremely slow process for Macedonia and other Balkan countries to join. James Kurlindsey is at the London School of Economics.
The government has become very comfortable in its position, that it hasn't been subjected to the reforms that would have had to have taken place had it moved closer to NATO or the EU, and is now actually starting to move against the idea of EU membership. And I think that this is what makes it so very risky.
Speaking via Skype, the former EU Special Representative for Macedonia, Erwan Foere, is even more critical of the government.
The current regime has lost whatever credibility it had and any legitimacy to remain in government. And I think the only way that a peaceful process can be restored is by the government resigning and making way for a transition process.
Some of the opposition protesters have set up a tent city to demand just that, but their prospects for success are not clear. Kurlindsey says they're not likely to get as much attention as their counterparts in Ukraine did last year.
The country just doesn't sit on that fault line, if you like, between East and West in the way that Ukraine has.
Still, Kurlindsey says the EU's policy has created an opening for Russia to try to re-establish some influence in a region it controlled until 1989. But Erwan Foere is not too concerned.
There is no strategic interest for Russia in this, apart from annoying the West and suggesting that the West are not fulfilling their commitments towards the Balkans as they should.
The commitment is to bring the Balkan countries into the European Union. The delay is related to the need for reforms and concerns about immigration into current EU countries. Kurlindsey says the EU has to balance its concerns with a strong message that the Balkan states will become members, though likely not in the next several years. Pessin, VOA News, London.